If the goods require an expedited release, then the appropriate goods category should be selected. Otherwise, leave it set to regular. Please note, selecting an incorrect category is likely to delay the release of the goods. If you are importing full container loads, then the container section should be completed. Click Add to display a blank row. Select the main currency that was used to purchase the goods in the consignment. The currency used in the country that was specified in the exporter's address is the default. Normally, this is applicable, but a different currency may be selected. Select the terms of delivery from the drop-down menu. In most cases, this will be cost only. If the exporter has agreed to cover the cost of the insurance, freight, or both, then the appropriate terms should be selected. You now enter the total cost, insurance, and freight of the consignment. Note, if you have selected a term of delivery other than cost only, one or both of the insurance and freight fields will be non-enterable. You have the option to ask custom online system codes to prorate insurance or freight or both. Please bear in mind that customs online system codes will prorate. Next,
Dwayne Seymour. We have Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez, the Medical Officer of Health, to his right. To my right, we have the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. John Lee, and Dr. Benoy, the Clinical Director of Health City, Cayman Islands. And I'd like to begin this afternoon by asking the Honourable Premier, Mr. Alden McLaughlin, for the current update on the latest situation, please, sir.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. As I'm sure everyone is painfully aware, the entire world is grappling with COVID-19, the virus that is killing thousands of people and crippling economies around the world. Here in Cayman, obviously, we have been and continue to be challenged with dealing with the threat of this virus. I think everyone is aware that we sent off for testing 6 samples of persons who were suspected of possibly having COVID-19. We have received the results of 5 of those tests, and 4 of them are negative. There is but one positive case. The patient is a visitor who was transferred from a cruise ship for a critical cardiac issue. The patient is doing well and is still being treated in isolation. We are confident that all of the appropriate measures have been and continue to be taken, and that the patient poses no risk to the broader community. I'm going to ask the Minister of Health to say a few words, and then also I would ask the Medical Officer of Health, the Chief Medical Officer, and Dr. Benoy for their observations before we take questions.
Minister Seymour, now people will obviously be rightly concerned about the situation. I wonder, can the Ministry of Health offer any words of reassurance at this time?
Thank you. Good evening, my fellow Caymanians and residents. Firstly, I wish to state again, please be reassured we are doing everything in our power to protect you, your families, and the whole community from the threat of the novel coronavirus. As you've all heard today, we have confirmed the Cayman Islands' first case of coronavirus. Government, along with Public Health and Health City, where the patient is receiving treatment, take this case seriously. I can assure you every effort is being made to protect the infected person and to continue to secure the rest of the population. From the time of transport up until the time the patient has been transported securely and treated in isolation. We can all applaud the hard work and commitment of our Public Health Department for their resilience and diligence in this matter. At this time, I must emphasize that for Cayman's attack on COVID-19 to be successful, ongoing public support is critical. It will take the entire village. Jamaica now has 2 cases, and numbers in the wider Caribbean region and the Americas are rising daily. I don't say this to frighten you. I understand the uncertainty you may be feeling now and how rumors can spread in these anxious times. However, I ask you all to please be responsible. The Ministry of Health, Public Health Department, and the HSA are striving constantly to provide you with trusted and reliable information. We have seen examples of fake news confirming cases of coronavirus in the Cayman Islands. Remember, you can check www.gov.ky/coronavirus to see trusted and up-to-date guidance from the experts. This page is being constantly updated and should become your first port of call for the facts. Please do not part to protect yourself, the family, and the community by avoiding scare tactics and fake news, spreading rumors and misinformation. Our preparedness work is comprehensive. On one front, it involves actions to minimize the risk of exposure amongst the local population. On the other front, we are taking actions to make sure the public health system is enhanced and upgraded so we can treat patients in the event that we see cases of coronavirus in Cayman, as we now have. We are securing additional supplies and equipment. At the present time, I can assure you we have enough personal and clinical protective equipment on our island and for our health facilities. We have taken steps to advance order extra supplies like beds and ventilators to ensure healthcare workers have the resources they need. Pharmacies are stocked with enough medications to last 3 to 4 months as part of our usual preparedness procedures. Testing supplies will soon arrive on island so we can test suspected cases right here. Results will be available in 24 to 48 hours. And thousands more tests have already been ordered, so our medical staff will have the resources they need continually restocked. We are driving dynamic communications efforts to keep all of us updated on the virus and what we should what we should be doing to contain the spread. And let me reiterate here the importance of containment. While we ready our defenses, we're also aware that the global situation is evolving quickly. We cannot rest on our laurels. We will continue to prepare tirelessly as we ask you, the people of the Cayman Islands, to engage this fight alongside us. You can do your part by following proper cough, sneeze, and hand washing procedures. Consider also making changes to your social behaviors. I know we Caymanians are affectionate in nature, but let's all follow the medical professionals' recommendation and keep 3 to 6 feet away from anyone displaying flu-like symptoms. It won't be forever, and it can make a difference. I ask businesses to shoulder their part of the burden too. I understand it may be inconvenient, but well-planned policies for continually flexible working and sick leave will have an effect on our ability to contain any cases of coronavirus. We have already seen these tactics work in countries where they have managed to contain the spread. I ask you here tonight to remain on your guard, Take the necessary steps to protect your health and your family's health. It is with you and your families in mind, along with the safety of the whole community and our visitors, that we are undertaking these enhanced preparedness efforts. I must acknowledge the efforts of Customs and Border Control, the Cayman Islands Airport Authority, the Cayman Islands Port Authority, the Ministry of Tourism, the HSA, the Public Health, along with the ministry, along with many public sector stakeholders. Some of you, your relatives and friends, may be workers at the forefront of this fight. I would like to say thank you, the staff from the Ministry of Health, Public Health, and those who work at the various ports of entry to our islands have worked tirelessly over the past week to introduce enhanced health screening methods to help keep us safe. I'd like to again acknowledge your efforts to protect us, especially those most vulnerable in our communities. So to reiterate, the Health Services Authority and the Public Health Department remain armed and ready to take on coronavirus as we test for other cases. For schools, medical practitioners, other frontline staff, and at-risk groups, including hotel workers, transport providers, and educators, we will continue to provide you with the latest best practice and up-to-date guidelines. Remember to visit the page, as I continue to say, www.gov.ky/coronavirus, where we are constantly updating our guidance and FAQs. I understand if you may feel worried, scared, panic about the serious nature of COVID-19, but we can and will overcome this public health threat. I ask you to please work together as a community, each of us doing our part from prevention to care management. I also want to apologize on behalf of the government to the Bordentown community. We were scheduled to have a public meeting tonight at 7 p.m. That meeting will, however, be canceled, and all other public meetings scheduled for Northside, East End, Bordentown, and West Bay will be canceled. Please stay tuned to Radio Cayman and check in our web page to get information on what's going on, the next steps that we're taking with this coronavirus. We will be handing out pamphlets at all of our clinics in each district. I also want to thank GIS and all the work they've been doing, and also thank the Cabinet and all the steering committees that have been working hard on this daily. Please stay safe, and may God continue to bless the Cayman Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Seymour. Dr. Binoy, the Clinical Director of Health City Cayman Islands, the patient who tested positive falls under your care. Could you tell us how they're doing?
Yeah, good evening. I would like to give you an update on this patient who is under our treatment at Health City. He is a 68-year-old gentleman from Italy who is known to have cardiac diseases for many years, who was on a cruise ship, and he had 2 cardiac arrests while he was on the ship, and who required multiple shocks to revive him, and he came to the hospital with no respiratory symptoms at that time, and he was getting better from the cardiac point of view. Subsequently, he developed mild respiratory symptoms like just dry cough. There was no fever, no flu-like symptoms, and at that moment onwards, he is on isolation as per the guidelines of WHO in regards to coronavirus preparation, and he is still under isolation with all the guidelines, and all the other staff who are treating these patients, involved in the patient's care, are also taking all the precautions as per WHO guidelines.
Thank you. Dr. Lee, we know that several cases, the suspect cases, were sent to the Caribbean Public Health Agency earlier this week. Could you tell us a little bit, please, about how that process, the testing process, has worked?
I was delighted to receive the results back on this particular case so soon. And I received a call from the director of CARFA, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, at around 2 this afternoon to inform us that we had a positive case and that the other cases that we had sent on Monday were negative. We've known that this matter was coming. We expected it would pop up in a traveller, somebody who's a visitor to our shores, and that is indeed what's happened. We know now we can we have protections around this person and now need to further investigate the people that that this person has been in contact with. I think it's a testament to the very fluid and healthy relationship that I have at a professional level and developing as a personal level with the staff from Health City, because we communicate almost daily on a number of different levels, and like all healthcare professionals across the island, I hope that they feel that that channel of communication is open with the Ministry of Health, and it certainly is there with Health City, and I thank them for that. I think that our preparations are ongoing for the management of how we prepare, and I hope that the public are taking those preparations. I know the public are taking those preparations seriously, but I'd like to encourage you to do so. What I'd really like to happen is that the public should have no more questions about how they are going to manage COVID, and for the plans for their family or in their businesses. If we can get to a place like that, which I think should only be a couple of weeks away, so that people know what they're going to do, then we should then just be providing information about how things are developing. I'd really like to get there.
Now, Dr. Williams-Rodriguez, your communications with CARFA will obviously continue from here on. How does that look? Where do we go next?
All right, thanks. We communicate normally with CARFA on a daily basis. Of course, this has been going to be enhanced now that we have a first case. Not too long ago, after we received the information from CARFA about the positive case, we called directly the head of the lab in CARFA and inquire about the possibility of sending the rest of the sample. Now, as we know that now we have to test any patient, any person who has been a close contact with the patient, the confirmed case, and also especially the one who has developed symptoms. So we are doing that. We have confirmed with CARFA that we'll be sending those samples tomorrow, just to make sure that we got a result from them. Also, it's important to reiterate that persons without symptoms are unlikely to transmit the disease, and this is a very important fact to know, that if a person has no symptoms, the possibility of this person transmitting the disease are minor. We will continue to communicate with CARFA. We continue to communicate with the public. We start preparing weeks ago, so we are far advanced. There are still more things to do to complete in order to educate the public and healthcare provider of the way to go. But we are very confident of our relationship with CARFA. We do have a professional and a personal relationship with the senior management in CARFA, which is also an advantage for us because we can call them and ask for them to expedite things for us. So we're very happy about that, and we will test the person that need to be tested. Also, as Dr. Lee has mentioned, we have a very fluid and good communication with Health City Cayman Island and other healthcare providers on island, and that make our life and our work a lot easier.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. I'd like to open questions to members of the media.
Thank you. My first question would be to the Premier. Has Cabinet discussed any travel restrictions, any plans to lock down borders, stop cruise ships from coming in light of your announcement today?
You mean any additional travel restrictions?
Well, yes, additional.
Yes, we have not Cabinet. We have a Cabinet meeting scheduled for tomorrow. But we will be extending the travel ban to include a significant number of new countries. I don't want to preempt Cabinet's decision by going into those details now, but we've spent the entire day dealing with a whole range of issues arising from the threat of this virus. And tomorrow will be another day so spent, as well as the weekend, I expect.
Are there any plans to cancel school? We saw Jamaica announce today that they'll be closing schools for the next 14 days. Is that part of your response now that we have a confirmed case?
That matter is certainly under consideration. You would have probably seen a release this afternoon that we've canceled the inter-primary school sports tomorrow because there will be more than 4,000 children plus parents, guardians, and well-wishers, family there. And we are certainly discouraging public gatherings of significant numbers. And again, that is another one of the issues that we are looking at. These things all have, much broader social and economic implications, and also logistical considerations. And so we are taking our time and being very careful about that. But we do believe that Cayman is going to have to impose some fairly drastic and radical measures if we are to contain this virus and to prevent it from moving to the stage it has in other places where it is now community transmitted, and you're chasing the virus rather than being able to point to its source.
In terms of the patient that tested positive, what systems or measures have you taken to deal with the people who came in contact with this person, either the people who transported him or to Health City, the doctor staff that interacted with him? Can you share that with us?
Yes, Dr. Williams told that the patient or people who has no symptoms, they are very unlikely to transmit the disease. So as of now, even this patient in question doesn't have any respiratory symptoms other than mild cough, and none of his wife is here on the island. She also doesn't have any symptoms. The staff who were taking care of or who are taking care of this patient also does not showed any symptoms till today morning. So yeah, as and when they develop any symptoms, we have all the facilities and measures to treat these patients or to develop any symptoms, how to quarantine them, how to treat. We have all the measures in place because with the government and especially with the Dr. Lee coordinating all the measures to identify and treat these patients, we are also as he told, every day in discussion with government and public health. So we know what are the measures to be taken as per the PAHO, WHO guidelines. We are following all those things. So if anybody develops, any staff or other patients who were in the hospital develop any symptoms, we have all the measures to contain the disease to spread to other patients. We have fully geared to take any situations coming out of this.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Lee or Dr. Williams, can you tell us how HSA is prepared to deal with this situation? Walk us through what kind of measures have kicked in now that we have the first confirmed case. I don't know who would want to take the question first.
Yeah, again, we'll take that. The HSA have been preparing for weeks for any case of once we got the confirmed case of coronavirus on island, and like now we will continue with our plan. And our plan basically was to establish a dedicated flu clinic, and that is in place. Also, we have designated an area to manage patients that could be admitted with respiratory need admission with these respiratory symptoms. Intensive care patients and patients who are a lower care of level of care, but still need admission for hydration, oxygen, and some other. We will continue. We also actually yesterday complete a tabletop exercise, not only with the HSA, but other agencies like CVC, Port, Security, different agencies to plan or to just practice the way forward in case we have cases like this. So we feel that not only the HSA, the Public Health Department, and the Cayman Islands as a whole is well prepared to manage these cases. And we're confident that we'll be able to prevent any outbreak, a big outbreak of the disease here in the Cayman Islands.
Not really. Dr. Williams can speak for the HSA on that matter, but it's good to know that we really are in contact right across the medical community. So I've had a lot of discussions with the Doctors Hospital who, pledge their utmost support. I mean, we know already Health City have as well, and of course we know the HSA's preparations, but the Doctors Hospital has pledged their support and said we can have beds, and they're standing by. I've had private GPs saying that we're standing by. I think we have to appreciate that if COVID comes and takes a hold, and then probably the stress is going to be put on all the different parts of the health system. So it won't just be the hospital, it won't just be the HSA, but it'll be the private doctors as well, because we anticipate that everybody would use their normal channels to seek care. They shouldn't change just because this is a disease we haven't met before. People will still seek the same avenues, and everybody is ready to face that.
Thank you. Minister Seymour, you mentioned the supplies purchased that will be purchased. Can you give us an update on how soon these things will arrive on island?
I understand that the beds are 30 days away, and most of the equipment is within 3 to 4 weeks arriving here. What I can say also is that if we go back in history of how public health has handled these threats throughout the world, whether it's Zika, Ebola, SARS, if you can remember, the Cayman Islands has always had little or none. So we've always had public health there doing a great job, and I want to applaud them.
If I may add, we've had one question come in from a member of the public who's joined us on Facebook. Thank you very much for joining us today. They're asking if anyone may have come into contact with the positive case and not know, and what should they do if they have?
Maybe I can take that. Would you mind? I think really it's the same information we'd give for any traveller. Now we really are concerned that this could pop up anywhere. So if anybody has they think there is the potential that they've contacted this person, or they've been travelling, or they believe for some other reason there could be a case, and they can discuss that with their healthcare provider or through help on the flu hotline. They should let themselves be known if they have symptoms to come forward, and so that we can help guide and advise. We're really hoping people will be proactive and share the information so that we can advise them what best to do, and also, should we need to, we can then undertake any contact tracing.
Thank you. One further question, and I believe Dr. Benoit, you already answered this, but the positive case, they're being isolated in Health City,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yes.
And we've had, again, further questions about the travel ban, but I believe the Honourable Premier has answered that one already. So if you wouldn't mind just reiterating for people who may just be joining us now.
Yes, as I said, we've been in meetings all day giving consideration to a range of things, and one of those is about the imposition of a travel ban, or I should say the extension of the travel ban to more than the single country that is currently on the list. So there will be a fairly extensive list before Cabinet tomorrow, and following the Cabinet meeting and assuming approval, we will then be able to make an announcement as to which countries travel will be banned from. And it'll be a complete ban, is what's being proposed, except for returning residents, who would then obviously be placed in isolation.
What advice can you give to companies on island to help prepare their staff, and what recommendations would you give to them in terms of this new announcement that we have today? That's for anyone.
Well, I think that the general advice that has been given ever since we started the communication program is the same advice we give now with respect to how you behave, adjusting your social behaviors, washing your hands, cleaning surfaces, being very careful and observant of the people around you. If people are demonstrating or exhibiting symptoms, coughing, sneezing, any flu-like symptoms, to stay a respectful distance from them. All of that applies generally across the board. More broadly, I know that many companies have already put in place business continuity plans, and we encourage that. The more people work from home, the less people there are out there to possibly catch the virus, or if they have it already, to spread it. As I said, we are of the view, although Cabinet has not formalized these decisions yet, that we are going to have to take some fairly radical and drastic measures that are going to impact social behavior, travel, and indeed people's economic circumstances. But we believe that unless we do so, the result could be potentially devastating and indeed tragic for these islands. We will not allow, because of a lack of willingness to make hard decisions, the situation to obtain, which is currently the case in places like Italy and indeed the United States of America.
I might, if I may, just add a little something. I'm well aware that many large companies have got good, strong business continuity plans, but I'd like to reach out to all the smaller companies, the people who've got 1 or 2 employees, maybe 3 employees. It may be a family company. You may be thinking COVID is not coming to you. Please sit round the kitchen table, sit round the office, have a discussion about your plans for your smaller business and whether you can pass any jobs on to somebody else in order to keep your business going and what you're going to do. So it could affect everybody.
We've had one more question come into us. These test results that we've had back, people are asking if there have been any further tests sent off to CARFA for testing.
I think as the Premier have mentioned, there were 6 cases. We had sent initially these 5, there's 1 more case has sent, and we will get those results, and we'll inform the public as soon as we receive that result. Yeah, those persons are in isolation as well. And also I want to inform everyone that the person who tested negative, they are being now informed from the public health department. Of course, they've been released from the isolation. And any person who have from the public who have any question or any concern, we are asking the public, you have mild symptoms, to stay home. But there is the HSA have implemented a flu hotline that persons can call to get advice, and this will be answered on the other side by a registered nurse and consultation also with a physician. And I know the number have been given before, I just want to repeat them. And there is a 1-800 number, there is 1-800-534-800. 8600 or 947-3077. There's also an email address that is flu@hsa.ky, and of course the website from both the HSA and the Ministry of Health and the government website have a lot of information about flu, about the coronavirus, and what to do to prevent the disease. And we encourage the public to look into this website. They're up-to-date information there, and they're updated on a regular basis.
So the question has been asked, but I know everyone is very concerned about what government is doing. So I mentioned meetings. So we started meetings this morning, and as I said, we'll go through the weekend. We're talking with as many of the various entities and sectors of the community, business community in particular, as possible. The utilities, the tourism industry, education, the Chamber of Commerce, because the decisions we have to take will have implications for a whole range of things, and if we don't take those decisions, there'll be other implications as well. So we're talking about things like business continuity of the utilities, what plans they have in place, if they have significant numbers of people who are off sick, flexible leave arrangements, sick leave arrangements, so that people can feel safe and comfortable that if I stay home, it's not going to impact my salary, and I'll still have the means to continue to live. Talk to the banks about possible concessions, the deferral of mortgage payments, should we come to that. Similarly, with respect to the various utilities. So we are planning for the worst case scenario while working very hard to do our very best to ensure that we don't get there.
Any other members of the media question before we go back to Reshma?
Sorry, I just want to get back to something Dr. Williams said. Did you say we have a 7th test that was sent, or
No.
was it
No.
the same 6?
It's the same six cases.
Okay, good. Just double checking that. Today we saw scenes, I know you spoke about this issue before, Minister Seymour, about panic buying. Today we saw scenes in the supermarkets where people are going in and getting additional supplies. The supermarkets have placed limits. What message would you send to the public given the kind of activity that we're seeing now? And I'm sure it's going to ramp up given this announcement today.
Thank you. I can assure you that hazard management is coordinating with supermarkets and on a daily basis. They have assured us that they will have supplies. So if these supplies run out, please don't panic. More are on the way. They have assured us that their suppliers, they're in contact with them, and there's no fear to be had right now. What I also want to say is that a lot of persons are asking questions of the government, whether we're going to cancel carnivals. As Premier mentioned earlier about large gatherings. These are some of the considerations that will be taking place tomorrow in our extraordinary cabinet. These are national concerns, and anything that we can do to keep the spread down, this government is going to do to protect our people. We encourage businesses to try to create shifts so that the congregation of so many people are not persons are not congregating all at one time, so that persons don't have to get too near to each other and try to keep that social distance space of 3 to 6 feet. So there's a lot of things to consider. This is very fluid, and we have to constantly come and give updates. We meet every day, as Premier said. We'll be meeting over the weekend also. We're going to be meeting with many businesses, as Premier has mentioned, to try to ease the pain. We recognize this is going to be some financial hardships, especially if the cruise association are self-imposing some of the cruises that were supposed to come here are not coming. They're suspending for a couple of weeks, etc. So we know that a lot of small businesses will see a downturn in some of their business. But that's why we're here, to help and try to redirect.
Well, you preempted my next question, because that's what I was going to ask. What measures are being put in place for people who will feel that economic downturn, the tour operators, the wait staff, the small businesses as well? Is that going to form part of your discussions tomorrow, or you already have something set up in terms of dealing with that?
Oh, it's the Premier's
It already is. It's already part of our discussion. And while there is a segment of the community that seems to believe that cruise tourism is not important, and we can do without it, the reality is about 6,000 Caymanians are employed directly in that industry. So they're already taking a significant hit. And when the cruise ships stop coming altogether, it is going to be quite a crisis. So the government is thinking carefully about all of those things. We have a meeting set up with the tourism, not just CETA, but more broadly the tourism industry. I think that's tomorrow as well. There's so many meetings I can't remember when they are. But that is certainly a major consideration of the government, which we just spent quite a bit of time this morning discussing, and we have to spend some more time on.
So given all that we've heard today, is it okay to go to church on Sunday?
Well, there'll be some who say who tell me who say I shouldn't say this, but if I were you, I'd stay home. I can worship God at home too.
Thank you very much. I think we'll wrap up there with just a reminder that those flu numbers from earlier were 1-800-534-8600, 947-3077, and I believe I'll be corrected if that's not correct. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. A reminder to visit hsa.ky and gov.ky/coronavirus. You can find all the latest information, guidance, those contact information numbers, and all the answers to your frequently asked questions. Thank you very much.